You're gonna wanna stay tuned. We're making another healthy recipe with fiber. In this video, I'm gonna show you how I make Dexter fiber-rich cubes. It's all about the poops in this household, so one of the ways I help Dexter stay regular is to make sure that I'm incorporating good fiber into his diet. Fiber helps move that food out of your dog's system and cleans out that colon. There's both insoluble and soluble fiber, and both are important in your dog's health. Soluble fiber helps bring in moisture to your dog's stool and helps protect your dog's colon. Soluble fiber is best for constipation because when it starts to create that kind of gel-like consistency, it helps it move down the tract and come out much easier. Insoluble fiber adds that bulk and it acts as a brush to kind of help clean those intestines. Most fruits and vegetables are going to have a combination of both insoluble and soluble fibers. The foods that are higher in soluble fibers include apples, oranges, some nuts, flax seeds, celery, and carrots. Foods that are higher in insoluble fibers can include broccoli, cabbage, and the skins of some root vegetables. As always, when I'm working at making sure Dexter receives the proper nutrition in his diet, I'm continually rotating between different foods and different DIY cubes that I make, like the ones in this recipe. And as always, it's about moderation and rotation. So when you're introducing your dog to new foods, especially fruits and vegetables, go slow. Don't bulk up. Go a little at a time. So maybe incorporate a half of a teaspoon or a teaspoon into your dog's food and see how he tolerates it. And again, rotate it. Don't use this cube recipe for all his meals. So let's get into Dexter's kitchen. So we're going to put all kinds of healthy vegetables and fruits in Dexter's fiber-rich little cubes. As always, we want to make sure that we're working on moderation and rotation. So this little fiber cube I will be incorporating into Dexter's meals, but I won't be using it all the time. I won't always be adding extra fiber to his meal. I also won't always be adding this fiber cube into his meal. I want to make sure that I'm continually rotating his foods and his nutrition so that we can kind of meet everything that he needs. I also already cleaned these fruits and vegetables, but I do need to go ahead and chop them up a little bit so that they can go into the processor a lot easier. I always try to get fresh organic fruits and vegetables. I do have a couple of things that were actually purchased frozen because I wasn't able to get my hands on fresh organic. So let's get chopping. When you're blending something up, it's always easiest if you start with the food that's going to be most liquid. So whatever food's going to have the most water in it. So in this instance, we have both strawberries and pears, which tend to have a lot of water inside. So we're going to start with those. So let's start chopping. So for Dexter's strawberries, again, these were the ones that I picked up frozen. They're still slightly frozen, so I'm just going to go ahead and slice them in half and then stick them in the processor. I am adding 3 ounces of organic strawberry, and I will put the recipe in the comments below. I will have a link out to the printed recipe that will be on my Pinterest page. So make sure you check out the links below in the description. Next, we have that pear. So there's actually a couple of gadgets. I do like my gadgets when they work. It won't be perfect, but it's a start. And then, see, these skins, and along with the skins from the apple, are safe for our dogs. We just want to make sure that they're pureed and processed enough that they don't choke on them. So that's where the risk is a choking hazard. But this won't be the case because we're going to put everything in the blender and puree everything up. So we're just going to give it some rough cuts, and you can see all that moisture And we're going to do the same thing with our second pear. So now that I have these in, these are my liquidy type, I'm going to go ahead and process that up. Alright, so that's that's nice. So the next thing I'm going to get in here is I actually have 2 small avocados. And I've already peeled them and sliced them into big chunks. Now, avocados are actually safe for dogs. The toxic parts of avocados for dogs are the skins and pits. So that's obviously been removed. And again, we want to remember that everything's in moderation and rotation. So avocados are also high in fat. So he's not getting these all the time in a big quantity. And if you can see, these 2 small avocados only equal out to about 5 ounces. So you can also get frozen avocados, and that can be a way to measure things out too. And so these 5 ounces is going to go in with everything. So we're going to plop those in there. Next we have our apples. So I'm going to go ahead and use the slicer. And again, apples, their skin is safe as long as they're not choking on it. So these are going to be cut up nice and small and blended up. I do want to make sure that I'm removing all the core and the seeds because those are the toxic parts. So if that little slicer left any residue, then I want to make sure I cut that off. Dexter can smell the apples. Apples are another one of those foods that I often share with Dexter as a treat. I have articles on my blog, link is below, raisingyourpetsnaturally.com, and I have a lot of these ingredients listed individual with their individual health benefits and nutritional breakdown. And some of them have recipes all on their own, so I can't remember if I've done it or not, but you can easily take the flesh part of an apple and slice it up and dehydrate it and have nice little snacks. I have purchased freeze-dried organic apple chips that I've used for Dexter for training treats. So if your slicer leaves any core parts, just go ahead and slice that up before you put it in. Alright, so that's getting pretty full, so let's give it a blend, see where we're at. I'll probably have to pull this out and put it in a big bowl and stir it around and add that. So it's time to bring the bowl out because we're starting to get a little full, and I want to make sure that those get a really nice chop because they're going to digest the vegetables and fruits much easier if things are pureed up. So I'm just going to dump some of this out. I'm going to leave some in there so we have that liquid to help pulse up those other ones. So next I have a broccoli, and I went ahead and cleaned and cut the real tough part off on the end. The whole thing is healthy. We just want to make sure again that it gets nice and processed in there. And when I measured the broccoli, it was about 8 ounces after I cleaned it up. Just to give you an idea. And when you're making these, you don't have to have everything exact. You can substitute as long as it's safe for our dogs and you're continuing to use moderation and rotation, you should be good to go. And your dog doesn't have any special medical or dietary needs, and of course you cleared it with your holistic veterinarian, you should be good to go. So we can see that it's thicker than the other. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of this out. So next up, I have carrots. So I have 3.5 ounces of carrots. I happen to have, I picked up the rainbow carrots, and I'm saving some of the other ones for a future recipe. So 3.5 ounces of carrots. give or take when you're making it. I'm just gonna, again, do a quick chop. Then I have 5 ounces of Brussels sprouts, and I see I have a little bit of that avocado that was stuck in there, so we'll plop that in there. Let's go ahead and cut those Brussels sprouts in half as well. Alright, all in there. Lid on. And if you get stuck blending this up because it's so thick and dry, you can always add a little bit of water or a little bit of your bone broth just to help give it a little moisturize. It's going to be one of those scrape the sides of the blender. We'll mix that up. So I did add a splash of water in here to kind of help blend it up. If I were to do this again, what I would do and what I'd suggest for you is to rotate putting something wet and something dry. So instead of putting the 2 pears in together, maybe do 1 pear and 1 apple, 1 pear and half the broccoli, and blend that up. And then again, another pear and the other half of the broccoli to kind of keep that stuff moving. So we're going to combine everything now. So for example, for Dexter, I do tend to pull out all these little frozen things that I've created for Dexter and put it in a bowl and let it thaw in the refrigerator. And I pull out enough that's going to last him about 3 days. So when I'm feeding Dexter his raw diet and I incorporate these extra goodies, these fruits and vegetables, as part of Dexter's Yappy hour. So each evening he actually gets 3 treat toys. Let me show you one of them. So this is one of Dexter's Yappy hour treats. And so what I do with that 3-day mixture is it's now thawed in the refrigerator, and then I scoop out the stuff and put it in here and then freeze it. And he actually gets 3 toys filled with a variety of these goodies as part of his daily food calories. So as part of balancing out his nutrition, here he comes, and giving him something to do and letting him kind of work for his food. He's over here. So you may portion them out into little cubes, little paw prints. You may do something like 1 cup increments where you're freezing this into 1 cup servings and then you're pulling that out. However you want to do it, you know, that's fine. I'm going to portion these out into smaller portions, and then I'm going to, after they're frozen, pop them out and then put them in another container and label what it is, so that when I'm doing that Yappy hour, and watch for upcoming videos. I think I'm going to go ahead and create a video of some of these recipes and kind of demonstrate how I do his Yappy hours. And then you get to know what's exactly in those treats. Now for you, if you're not a raw feeder or you don't home cook for your dog, you can just use this as a topper. So you can put it on his food as kind of extra goodness, or you can still put it in a treat toy and give them that to eat. So Dexter's looking at me, so we're going to go ahead and pause this video. I'm going to put his little snoot on and we're going to give him this snack. So hang on just a second. Alright, so as you can see, there's quite a bit of mix here. So I'm going to go through quite a few different molds that I'm going to place in the refrigerator. Now a quick tip is when you have the floppy molds like this, put them on a cookie sheet and then pour your mix in there. When you go into the freezer, you're going to be able to hold that easier. And then you can also stack them a lot easier when they're on cookie sheets. Now with this mold, it's actually a pretty solid mold, and it's smaller, so I'm going to be able to kind of wedge this into different places in the freezer. And that's part of the things that when I'm working and making things for Dexter that I always consider. I tend to make things in big batches so that I'm not doing it all the time. Dexter does have 2 chest freezers of his own out in our shed that actually filled to the brim right now, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Alright, so we're going to take our mix. I've been talking a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and give it another stir. So we're going to go ahead and just plop it in there. And we're going to fill the cavities. When you purchase molds like this, like the silicone molds, typically they'll tell you how much it holds. If it doesn't tell you how much it holds, you can easily figure it out by grabbing a tablespoon and pouring in water and tablespoon at a time and kind of giving you that idea. If you decide to make these cubes or any other shapes and give them to your dog frozen, the biggest thing is you want to make sure that it's not something he's going to choke on. Dexter tends to be a bit of a gulper and swallower, so he gets his treats out of those toys so that he can't grab it and swallow it. When he's eating things like duck feet and rabbit ears and things like that, I do hold them. So I do hold them for Dexter. Lucky me, so that he doesn't take that and gulp it. When he's chewing his bully sticks, I'm right there watching it. Alright, so now that that's filled, I can just do a little, just to make sure it gets down there. Because this is fresh fruits and vegetables, I'm not so grossed out about touching it. And we'll go to our next one. And you're just going to keep doing that with all your mix until you get them all in enough molds. So we have a success. So if you think your dog would enjoy these snacks, do hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And click that bell icon and you'll be notified when I upload a new video. Okay? Until next time, remember to pause and enjoy life. And we'll see you in the next video. It's like, I'm waiting, Mom. More treats.